Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for tuning in and welcome to episode 210. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is journalist, writer, dog mom, Jessica Szilagyi.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, howdy. How are you?
I couldn't tell if you were actually ready for me to talk.
Well, I do need to tell you, this week we have the Ku Klux Commissioner, Herschel drawing fire, the lawmaker exodus, the would-be infant legislator, and the crossover debacle.
Can you say that first one 3 times in a row?
No.
Can you try?
No. I have a hard enough time getting through the disclaimer I have to read every week.
Ku Klux Commissioner.
The Ku Klux Commissioner.
No, it's not Clue.
It's Ku Klux Commissioner. I'm sorry. Having never been a member of the Hooded Society, I didn't know that was a faux pas.
That's okay.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How's your week been?
Good, good. I saw the dogs had a good St. Patty's Day.
Always. Well, Stanley is excited about every day. He's just smiling and happy and excited about, every single thing that we do every day. He's just smiling all the time, so.
To have that excitement in life, huh?
I know.
Yeah, he wakes up going, oh boy, it's another day. I wake up going, it starts again.
I know, the sun's up again.
Bad news, I didn't die in my sleep.
Oh, that escalated quickly.
No, we had, I did my corned beef, which I boil in a 50-50 mix of Guinness and water. And because it's only 2 of us, there's plenty left over to have Reubens this weekend.
What's the sodium content on that?
Oh, it's high.
Yeah.
But you wash the beef off. When you take the corning out, you take it out of the package. There's the corning is a sodium nitrate is what preserves it. And you wash as much of the excess salt off of it. But yeah, the sodium content is pretty damn high. It's a small wonder I'm on blood pressure medicine, huh?
Yeah, no, I just, I've had one personal experience with it, and I'm pretty sure it was the Bojangles effect where my lips swelled up from all the salt in it. And I just wondered,
Bojangles effect, or is that the Kim Kardashian effect?
No, I don't get injections, thank you.
You don't have to, just eat some corned beef.
Right, it's cheaper too. Yeah, no, but corned beef is just, it's I think you have to love it. I don't think it's something you can just eat if you're not
Well, yeah, I love a good Reuben. There's a place not too far from where you're from in Sandy Springs called Joey D's Oak Room. And it's a fairly high-end steakhouse, but they also have an open-faced Reuben, and they get their corned beef from the Carnegie Deli in New York, and it's fan-friggin-tastic. But, wow. I grew up in South Florida with a bunch of New Yorkers, so I grew up eating Reubens and things like that. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, I'm from an Irish family, so we ate a lot of corned beef hash and things like that as a kid. In fact, I may have enough left over to make corned beef hash and poached eggs for breakfast.
Oh, boy. Wow.
So, this week's culinary tips. So, election news. We have former KKK leader who was in prison for beating a black man qualifies for office in Georgia. Chester Doles. Or is it Doles?
I'm pretty sure it's Doles.
Yeah, Doles, he wouldn't be in the KKK, huh?
Probably not. Especially if you had that Hispanic flair on the end of it that you tried to do that first time, Doles.
And now I'm on his hit list.
Yeah. So he was the Grand Caliph? Is that how you... is that a spin on bailiff?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Of the Invisible Empire, Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. and he's running for office in Lumpkin County. So when I first saw that part, I was like, okay, so, not everybody should run for office, but whatever. But it gets worse, like, the more you read about him.
Yeah, and Lumpkin County has one of the branches I managed years ago when I was in banking was in Cumming. Lumpkin County has a fairly checkered past when it comes to racism, and there were marches on Cumming. This is going back to the 80s and 90s, maybe even the 70s.
Lumpkin's Dahlonega.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's Forsyth. Lumpkin's Dahlonega. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
It is the same thing, and I think you're on the right track of.
The checkered past with it. Yeah, Lumpkin is good. Lumpkin is also where North Georgia College is.
They only have 1.2% population that is Black or African American as of the 2020 census, and 87% white. And what's interesting is that Hispanics and other quote or other / mixed, that category, both those categories are larger than the Black population in Lumpkin County, which you don't often hear that to be the case, which leads me to go to what you were talking about, the checkered past. Like, sometimes communities that have really awful pasts like that don't ever recover or are still trying to recover. Like, they have not.
And what's funny is the first branch I managed was in Dahlonega. I would think that the people would rebel against that because they don't want to be associated with it. But as you were saying before, the more you look into him, the worse it gets with his experience as quote unquote white activism.
Yeah, that's his term. Like, he said, my resume is of being in a Nazi political organization, the National Alliance, and the Hammerskins. He calls that white activism. And, the affiliation is bad enough. But then when you consider that his activism includes federal charges in the 90s for beating a Black man.
Misunderstandings or extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, that's what he called the beating, which, the feds get it wrong every now and then. I won't say that, but they don't. But for something like that, I have a hard time believing that he was just like some target of
now
an FBI agent that wanted to.
Beating is different from a fight.
Mm-hmm.
A fight
it implies one person's fighting back.
Well, it went beyond a fight. A fight is, I best you, you best me, it's over. A beating is, you best me, and then you continue. He says he's now reformed.
Sure.
Thanks to former U.S. Senate candidate and preacher Derek Grayson.
Of all people, he's Black.
It's possible.
Of course it's possible. The point is that maybe it's not the best interest. Maybe you should be you should be running for election in some sort of like civic organization where you are trying to lead other people to reformation or share your story of reformation. I don't. It's possible. It's just not suitable for county commission, honestly.
And I'm trying to recall the musician's name, and I can't. We talked about him on the show before, but he would talk to these people, the Ku Klux Klan people, and he actually has a collection of Klan hoods, and I can picture the photos and all that stuff. But he has a collection of Klan hoods from people that, instead of turning his back and walking away, he would sit down and have conversations with these people, and they would say, I've never sat down and talked to a black guy honestly before. And he would convert these people. So it's absolutely possible. I don't think it's the best look for Lumpkin County to elect him, because that's going to be the headline: is former whatever he was grand poopah.
That is the headline. I mean,
right? That it's not good for the county. And if he really cares about the people of Lumpkin, if he really cares about getting the best done for Lumpkin County, the best thing would be to support somebody else financially and stay out of the limelight himself. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that is the best advice for people. Is there are people that, you know, have a ton of political power by not running for office because there's something in their past they don't want brought up, whether it's infidelity or if it's whatever it is. They went to jail when they were a kid. They really don't want that, you know, dredged up in front of the public. It's sometimes it's better just to, I won't say stay on the wings, but certainly don't walk center stage.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
You know, and a lot of times it's better for your family. It's better for the community as a whole to do that.
It's not that he shouldn't be allowed, because I support a felon getting their rights back if they've completed their sentence, and you know, if I believe that for violent criminal or violent felons as opposed to nonviolent, then it doesn't matter what their crime is. Like I consistently believe that, and I believe that, you know, everyone, regardless of their beliefs, should be allowed to run. I just think that it's not a good idea, and I wish he wouldn't, just for the community, because, I mean, this is how dangerous people get elected regardless, maybe not violently dangerous or racially dangerous, but his opponent is going to say, well, I'm not the white supremacist, so vote for me.
Well, I'll tell you, Lumpkin has a checkered past financially too. I was there when I was a branch manager there, late 90s, early 2000s. Lumpkin County was bankrupt.
Nice.
I mean, it literally went bankrupt. I sat in meetings with a bunch of bank executives as to how we were going to bail out Lumpkin County.
How did you?
There were some loans made. Loaning to a municipality is tough because your collateral doesn't mean anything, because you can't take City Hall and go put the bank sign out front that says for sale. But one of their
you could. It just takes an act of the IRS, and
it takes chutzpah to do that, because the people in the town are going to turn against that institution. But their chairman apparently took a bunch of money and ran off.
Nice.
And it did a bunch of underhanded stuff, and they went belly up. And I don't remember the names. Again, we're talking 2+ decades ago, because I'm old, Jessica. You know, you were in middle school.
It's okay.
But
in 2000, is that what you said?
It was late 90s, early 2000s.
I was in elementary school.
Oh, okay, screw you. So, demolition derby in Georgia as Herschel Walker's GOP primary rivals slam the Senate frontrunner.
Good. Oh,
yeah,
I don't like any of them. Just what? Go ahead, watch it burn. I mean.
All right. So, Fox News poll conducted March 2 through 6 indicated that Walker is at 66% support among likely Republican primary voters in Georgia, with Black a very distant second at 8%. All other candidates received 6% combined.
My question is why? Why?
Because he's Herschel damn Walker.
I know, but they don't. You know, I know people. So I have a friend who knows him, has a very close personal relationship with him, and you know, so for that reason we haven't gotten into all the negatives and stuff. But he's shared with me some of the positives of him and his position outside of politics, and why he at least respects him on that level. So I can understand that, because we all give passes to people we know and like and whatever. Most of these people don't know him, and they're giving him, so their pass is that he played football or that Donald Trump endorsed him.
No, it's not Donald Trump. He won a Natty, and he won a Heisman. That's it.
I think it's both.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the Trump endorsement may help, but Herschel's door to politics in Georgia was always open because he's Herschel damn Walker. Now, it doesn't matter that he won't take a debate, which I find repugnant. It's also because
he's never run for or held office before. The people deserve to hear him debate. Yeah,
he's a neophyte. This is not his arena. Now, look, I'm not insulting him. If I were to hop on the football field, he would whoop me. If he were to walk on a debate stage, I would whoop him. He doesn't. He can. He's pulling the Biden. Essentially, hang out in the basement, make appearances, read off of the cue cards, and walk away, shake hands, take pictures with people. That's it. And you know what? As scary as it is, that may be a winning strategy.
No, it's not, because you think he's going to just not debate his way all the way through a general election?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
That's what's going to happen. That's
not a winning strategy.
He's going to go up against Warnock, and the people of Georgia are going to look down and see Herschel Dan Walker.
Yeah, they're going to see Herschel Dan Walker behind Raphael Warnock's $20 million campaign account incumbency with a laundry list of handouts that have been offered. And I mean, I told you the way they send out press releases, it's like every single day they do it in this manner that I've never seen before, from an elected official, of basically saying, I did this for you, and this is exactly what I did, and this is the specific line item I addressed today for you.
Well, you're also discounting the motivation of Republicans this particular cycle.
Sure, but
because it's a non-presidential year, we tend to see the pendulum swing the other way in that off year. We almost always see the president lose Congress.
Yes, but I don't know that necessarily happens because of Georgia.
I don't know. I would like to see us split the Senate.
I don't think Herschel can beat Warnock. I don't.
Oh, I don't know if he can or not. He certainly can't debate him. Warnock was a damn preacher. He is accustomed to standing in front of people and extracting money.
Ooh, Dave.
Whoo! Shots fired?
Yeah.
It's true, though. I mean, he gave sermons for a living.
Yeah.
I also sent you the article from a few years ago when I was quoted the gun buyback. I forgot that it was organized by Raphael Warnock, gun buyback in Atlanta, and I was out there with a bunch of other people giving cash instead of gift cards and poaching the guns before they got to the gun buyback. And he was mad at me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a clown, and I would never, under any circumstance, give him my vote.
You're calling balls and strikes. That's fine.
Yeah, but Herschel Walker, I just don't think he has it in him. He doesn't, we literally have not heard him say anything.
But who does? Geriatric Gary Black?
No, he looks awful. And those photos and his latest campaign ads, whoa, buddy, what happened?
And that's the best he can look.
He's getting up there in age. And I think his time as the agriculture commissioner is obviously really taking a toll on him.
He also keeps his office 78 degrees.
Yeah, I think I told you about that.
I was in his office in a suit. By the time I got done with the meeting, the jacket was off, the tie was loose, rolled my sleeves up. I was dying in there. And Gary's in there in a friggin' sweater.
No, I was in his office when I worked at the Capitol at the legislature, and we were in there for a meeting about something that was taking quite a while, and I was dozing off because the heat made me lose consciousness.
Yeah, but Gary running digital ads about alleged past violent behavior by Walker, including an alleged incident where Walker held a razor to his ex-wife's throat, choked her, and later put a gun to her head.
Gary Black is he's the only person who could run that ad of all the people, because the other two they're unknowns, and people would reject that outright. Kind of like when Clay Tippins did that one commercial against Kemp or Cagle, excuse me. Or maybe it was all the candidates. I don't know, but because he's an unknown, like people, they will tolerate that from an incumbent.
Yeah, then you have Kelvin King in the AJC, quote, Herschel Walker talks about working hard and fighting for the interests of Georgians, yet he works behind the scenes to ensure a level of celebrity comfort and exclusiveness, separating himself from the questions and engagement that Georgians demand. This is a campaign, not an autograph tour for those who can pay for an access fee.
I agree.
Well, I agree with him, but he's wrong. It is absolutely an autograph tour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going on. Latham Sadler comments that Walker had lived in Texas for years before moving back to Georgia to run for Senate. He, quote, abandoned Georgia. It's clear he's not willing to debate any of us. So my question to the voters out there is, how's that going to work against Raphael Warnock, as we were just talking about?
I mean, abandoning Georgia is a bit of an extreme. I agree about the second part of his statement, but saying that he abandoned Georgia is that's not, come on. Just because he moved, people move all the time. That doesn't mean they're abandoning their state.
As I recall, he was a Dallas Cowboy. I mean, he lived in the state where he last worked. He's from South Georgia. He is Georgia born. I don't know. I'm not defending him by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying I do find it disingenuous to pick up your bags, buy a house, move to a state where you can, because you were encouraged to by other people, to go run for Senate. Sure. It doesn't mean he can't represent the state well. Just whatever. I just think it's
not a good look.
The last part of it is more important. He could have left the first part off and made so much more of an impact, saying he's unwilling to debate any of us.
Right.
And that,
they should harp him on that. Like, people would be like, okay, well, because you can't. What is the response if for Herschel, his supporters? I mean, look at what his campaign communications director said when Gary Black blasted him. She didn't address the allegations. She said the only thing worse is Gary Black's numbers,
Well, yeah, nice little quip, but it doesn't say much. Well, out here in House District 64, which is a new house. I mean, obviously it's not a new number, but new district out here. We have 3 people who qualified, and one of them being a kid named Preston Para. He is 20 years old. He will not turn 21 until December. And Section 3, Paragraph 3, Line B, dictates that anyone running for House must be 21 at time of election. The election is held in November. He will not be 21 until December. He was allowed to qualify. Secretary of State let it fly through. The Georgia Republican Party let it fly through, and he is now going to court on April 4th. For a judge to decide if at time of election means taking office or the date that the ballots are cast.
We talked about this before the show, and I thought you were quite wrong about it. I understand what the law says, and I understand what the Constitution says. I think our law inconsistent with everything else, which talks about taking office. When you qualify, you don't have to live there for the time. It's when you take office. And I also think if you can serve your country
in which he is, he lists his employer as the Georgia National Guard.
But if they can send your butt to Ukraine, they can send your butt to the legislature.
Well, here's the thing: you can serve in the Army at 18, but you can't run for president until you're 35. Can't run for the U.S. Senate, I think, until 30, and House Representative until you're 25. Look, if you want to change the Constitution, that's fine. And here's the problem with changing the Constitution: it's just like raising the drinking age. We all agree it should be done, but once you hit 21, nobody cares. Because it doesn't apply to you anymore, because people don't stand on principle. It's going to, for me, the interesting thing on this is what's going to be read in court. Because as we know, court cases come down to minute details. And the word election is going to come down to, does the judge feel is defined as the date of election or the date of taking office? Is the day he's elected the day he takes office? So it'll come down to how that judge feels. And then, of course, there's going to be an appeal on either side, presumably. The problem being, if he does, and I don't think he's going to win the primary. If he does win the primary and then he gets disqualified, Republicans won't have anybody running in 64. Because it's not like being Miss America and goes to the first runner-up. They just won't have anybody to run on that seat. It'll automatically go to the Democrats, which it may anyway, because it's a big chunk of Douglas County also. It's a slice of Paulding with a lot of Douglas in it. But it's to me, it's more interesting than anything else. I'm not wholly offended by him running or anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to vote for a 20-year-old kid, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to run. But to me, it's more interesting the legal minutia as far as and the twisting of the words is whether election means day you take office or the day that the people go to the polls. And if it were president, it would be the day the actual electors got together and when it's certified by Congress. And yeah, it doesn't mean the date it's certified. So if he goes all the way through and they're not certified until after his birthday, is that the date that he's elected? It's interesting. I'll just say it's interesting on that one. It'd be fun to watch it. It will be, the court case is April 4, so that's a Monday, and hopefully by the next Monday we'll be able to come back with news of what the judge said. So
stay on that, Dave.
Stay on it. Mass exodus of lawmakers means big turnover after 2022 elections. Jessica.
Yeah, I like numbers, of course. We know that. I like statistics, and I like looking at like all of the.
As long as there's no math involved.
Correct. Well, I mean, I can if it's just counting, I can usually get that done. But I don't like analyzing big time stuff. I can do I like when I know how many Republicans are being challenged and divide that by the total number of Republicans and give you a percentage. That is my statistical analysis, but I think it's super interesting. But anyway, I'm always fascinated by who's running unopposed in an election. And in the Senate, we have 25% of our senators, incumbents, running unopposed in the primary, and 25% just about in the House running unopposed, which I thought was interesting that they're so close when Senate has 56 and the House has 180.
Well, that's interesting. My senator is running completely unopposed.
Yeah. Which
I don't like.
It's not about, I don't like all the votes your senator casts, but it's not about, it's the fact that nobody else wants to serve, and because there's 30% of the senators are running unopposed in both the primary and the general. And then when you think about how many are not returning, like there's 17.8% of the districts have no incumbent returning. So,
well, it's interesting to me that they're not running a Democrat against Jason Antivitarde, mostly because out here, the Democrats are sacrificial lambs, and they're put out there to make sure that the incumbent has to spend money. It's a strategic move to make sure that they can't send those campaign funds to other races, that they have to hold it in-house and they have to actually run a race. You know, the Democrats that are running against Joseph Gullett or Martin Mumtahan, they know they're not going to win. But they're there to make sure that they don't just, walk through re-election without spending money. And Jason now has the ability to do that. And look, Jason's done as good a job as any other senator. I also have to wonder, after as ugly of a race that he won out here, and we talked about it 2 years ago, it was an ugly, ugly, ugly race with mailers and flyers. That sort of stuff didn't scare off anybody who might have thrown their hat in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was one of the races that turned me off of the idea of even running for office, because it was so personal, it was so ugly on everybody's part. And this is not throwing stones at Jason. It's not. But the race was ugly. Questioning whether Jason was a citizen, or implying that he's an immigrant when his father was from Puerto Rico. So it was a super, super ugly race. And I think that may sour a lot of people from running for office, because they don't want to get involved in that. They want to talk about issues, and the electorate is more interested in watching Jerry Springer.
Yeah. They are. And, they just think that, I think especially the Senate is particularly intimidating for people, because it is a larger. Down here we have one of our Senate districts is, I think, 17 counties, which is a lot for state Senate.
It is. It's a lot easier to knock on doors when those doors are on quarter-acre lots.
Right. I am really surprised by how many people aren't coming back, though. Like I said, I think there's 10 out of 56 senators not returning. So obviously that's an open seat. And in the House, the list is even longer. What was it? It was 42 seats where the incumbent is not returning, either because of retirement or because there's, the district has changed, so that district has no incumbent.
I would say it coincides a lot with redistricting.
It really doesn't, though. There's only like 3 districts where people are pitted against each other. So those representatives are going somewhere.
Well, like Micah Gravely's District 67 essentially went away.
But he's leaving.
Yeah, exactly. He's leaving.
It's the same. It's a net. His district went away, but so did he. So.
Well, his district, I think his district went away because he's leaving.
Right. But my point is that it doesn't matter. Like, reapportionment hasn't really reapportionment is only going to be responsible for 3 departures. People aren't, like, the people who are leaving because they were reapportioned because they were willing to step out and bow out.
Well, and I think that number should be higher. I think 3 terms in the House is enough. Like, you can get everything you want to get done in the House in 6 years and move on. Either move up to the Senate or move out. I think 6 years is the right amount before you become a cog in the machine.
Well, that's assuming you didn't start as a cog in the machine.
There are several people that got elected and they were already pre-cut cogs to go in the machine.
Yep. But somebody who starts it and just has like the best of intentions and a pure heart and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think by end of 6 years, you either do the right thing and step aside, let some new blood in there, or you become a part of the machine. And the machine's the problem. Hell, of people running unopposed, one of them's the damn speaker.
Well, he never has opposition. It's too expensive.
He has so much money.
Kelly's running again.
I cannot believe that. I do. I mean, look, he doesn't live in district anymore. He lives, I'm sure his mail still goes to his soon-to-be ex-wife's house. But from what I read from last show or show before that with the campaign disclosures, he's got a year-round apartment in Atlanta. That's where he's living. Last time I saw him, his suits were hanging up in the back of his truck. Mm-hmm. I don't mean the bed of his truck, but his SUV. But he was living out of his damn vehicle because he wasn't welcome at home. And of all the things to hop on Trey about, I can't believe that the drama with his wife is more interesting to people than the dead guy on the side of the road. Yes, I can. Again, Jerry Springer. This is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find episodes and relevant stories over the GeorgiaVirtue.com. Last week in the Georgia legislature, it was crossover day, the second worst day each legislative season, Jessica.
Yeah. 63 votes in the Senate, 50 or in the House, 53 in the Senate, which, some people are like, that's not really that much. It's a lot, especially when you start at 10 and you break for lunch and you break for dinner and you break for little committee meetings and, there's lulls in between stuff and it's a lot. It is a lot
now, look,
of voting.
For people who've never been down there, when they read these bills, there's no way you can read the bill and vote on 63 in 24 hours.
No.
They read the synopsis of the bill, and the dude sounds like an auctioneer. Except, auctioneers actually enunciate more. It is as fast as they can get to it, mumbled into the microphone, and then it's a, vote. Mm-hmm. Presumably the representatives or the senators have read the bill. Sometimes not. They a lot of them read them like we read headlines. So they'll read the synopsis on the top. They don't actually read the bill. And I was told a long time ago by a rep that it's impossible to read everything that comes across because you just can't. It's impossible.
No, it's not impossible because it is impossible to read every line. 100%. I agree with that. Do I think that lawmakers should have, I don't support the way that they do it, but do I think that lawmakers should have a general awareness of the bills that are moving through committees and coming out of rules so that very few are surprises? Yes, I do think that. And if they were less concerned with photo ops and, who the speaker of the day is and, what theme the day is at the Capitol, like if it's peanut butter jelly day instead of, what bills are moving and they're going to have to vote on, I think there might be a little bit more awareness.
Yeah. And look, most of the reps and senators are very aware of every line of the bill that comes to their committees. So whatever committee they're on, those bills get discussed at length. But I'm sure they're less aware of what comes through other committees when they're sitting on the House floor or the Senate floor. they're reading headlines, or they're depending on somebody else on staff, or they pay somebody to go through and give them a synopsis on what it entails, and they read the top couple lines and then vote up or down. And more likely, what happens is the speaker decides, I want this to pass, and his people go around and say, look, we need votes on this. If you give us a yay on this, we'll go ahead and push this bill that you want and have it come up for a vote. And that's that sort of bargaining goes on in the Capitol all the time.
It's horrible.
We need this, and if you give me this, I'll give you that. It is, but there's look, if you cross the speaker, nothing you do will matter for the rest of the time. I mean, it's you become Marjorie Greene at the U.S. Capitol. All you can do is sit there and vote yes or no, because nothing else you say is going to matter. Anything you put your name on is dead on arrival. So we have lawmaker pay raise. Is that coming to the ballot?
If it goes to the Senate, yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to the Senate, but if it goes through the Senate successfully, then it will. Good old Wes Cantrell never fails to disappoint, from Cherokee County. So it's the one, I think we talked about it before about the concept, but this is in the form of an amendment, and it would basically give the lawmakers a salary that is 60% of the median income of Georgians. So, of course, it could go up. It could also go down. Not as likely. This would begin
23, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it would be on like the November 2022 election. But it says, the ballot language says, shall the Georgia, this is so freaking obnoxious, shall the Constitution of Georgia be amended to restrict the ability of the General Assembly to increase the salary of state senators and representatives and establish a standard salary of individuals equal to 60% of the median household income of Georgia.
How many times have I said any of these things, these ballot initiatives, are all in the wording?
Well, of course, but restrict the ability makes it sound like we're limiting them. Like, should our lawmakers get a pay raise? No or hell no?
Yeah, do you want to kill puppies? Yes or no? Do you like puppies? Yes or no? It all comes down to the wording, and the way it's worded. You're right. It sounds like if you don't listen to the show. And so you're obviously ill-informed if you don't listen to our show every week. You think this is a restriction on the government. It's not. And look, I know there's a pay raise going through Congress right now, too. I think theirs is like 20% or something crazy. And I hear people saying, well, $17,500, whatever it is, dollars a year, plus the $178 a day or $173 a day per diem is not enough. It discourages working people who can't take that sort of time off from running for office. Horse hockey. I'm surprised to see this actually come through an election year.
I'm not, because all the people who aren't returning can be a clear yes vote without any repercussion.
Well, of course they can, but the people who are running for election, and of course they have the cover of, if someone says, why you vote yourself a pay raise? I did not. I voted to put it to the people.
Mm-hmm. With a dumbass question.
With a question with a predetermined answer. We got to move on. But yeah, that's we have non-tax credits extended or credits or exemptions extended or created.
9 of them.
9.
9. That's just a lot for a single day, because that's not, I mean, there's been other ones already, so.
Odds are, if you're listening to this, it does not apply to you.
No.
You know, if you own a movie studio, you probably are not listening to the podcast.
I haven't seen anything for podcasters. Nothing.
That's okay. We'd have to make money first.
No, that's the entire point, is that they should give us something for just...
Oh, yeah. Hand out. School choice legislation goes up in flames.
That was in the Senate. I put it in the wrong chart, but yeah, it really bombed. And since you mentioned it, we can just talk about it now. But this one was by Senator Butch Miller, and it was the Voucher Georgia Educational Freedom Act, similar to what they were doing in the House. And it failed 20-29, which you really don't hear about that very much. But the rural lawmakers were the ones that kind of tanked it because, you know, FTE money and everything. But I also thought it was hilarious about who was not there to vote, like Billy Hickman, my senator, Jeff Mullis, Blake Tillery, Huff Stetler, Jen Jordan, who's running for AG, Frank Ginn, and Dean Burke. They were all excused, so they didn't vote. They were there the rest of the day, but they didn't vote on the school choice bill.
Yeah, we have streamlining government regulations with another regulation, food truck permitting.
Yeah. I mean, they want to make it so that you can just apply for... Apparently right now, like, food trucks have to get a permit in every county, and it's very expensive, which is ridiculous. So the state's like, hey, we'll just... Instead of just saying... you know, we'll do a statewide system and call it a day. They're going to do a statewide system and the county you call home. So it's still two, because they wouldn't dare take away money from the locals.
Lord, no.
And then they'll go from there.
That's kind of the cool thing about when you travel out of the country and you see roadside stands and stuff, that it's not government sanctioned or anything. It's just... That's sort of the cool thing about the idea of food trucks. I don't know, man. Yes, if they took it and they made it a statewide license and took away the county, but yeah, they're not going to take money away from locals because locals would revolt and they all want to get elected. All right, beauty pageant safety.
I don't know where this came from. I mean, I do. Jason Ridley is the sponsor, but it requires entrance of a beauty pageant to be provided with an internet website for the operator, an email address for the organization that's hosting it, and an email address of the individual authorized to accept service of process. So I guess, like, if you're going to sue someone about a pageant, I'm not sure. I don't know what happened. I know that, I mean, the pageant world is a world of its own. But it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, safety to me would be...
Safety? An email address is going to make you safer? A website's going to make you safer? I thought
exactly.
I thought the internet is where all the trafficking happens. I mean...
Oh, I thought it was low budget hotels when they want to take over that property and build a mixed use facility.
Well, they just said that because the strip club bill was ruled unconstitutional, so they had to move the target.
All right, moving on to the Senate real quick because we're going to run short on time. Got 609, Jeff Mullins, making medical cannabis commission subject to state procurement laws.
This goes back to something we talked about in a past episode about transparency for the Cannabis Commission, simply because lawmakers couldn't get information, not because they want to be super transparent. Like, you're telling me that nobody thought that a state board should be subject to state board regulations when this first went through 2-3 years ago? Like, sorry, I know you're dumb, but you're not that dumb.
They want it to be secret.
Right. And so now they're like, oh, we want it to be transparent because they can't get any answers about it.
Yeah, we want it to be
probably
secret to the people, not us.
Well, they want to know, they want to be able to, beat those bids when they leave the legislature.
So SB 96, Lester Jackson requires VA health cards to be sufficient forms of ID for notary to confirm identity of a person.
I mean,
no big problem here.
I didn't write all these. Yeah, I mean, I didn't write all these. These were just things that they did. I don't think all of them are. I think what Randy Robertson did was obnoxious, which is add to the list of people who can have their state license for being a mortgage loan originator revoked or denied if there's a felony conviction. Like, it used to be the broker and another person. Now it's anyone who's involved in the residential mortgage loan process.
That's tough, because if you're a processor, you're a secretary. And I'm sorry if I'm insulting mortgage loan processors, but you're compiling data to get to the closing. For this, in my opinion, to take somebody's license, because you have to be licensed to work on mortgages, to take their license when all you're doing is taking information from your boss and then calling the client and saying, hey, I need your tax returns, I need this, I need this, I need this. And then your boss is the one committing the felony, and then to take away your ability to make a living is pretty crappy. Now, if you can show that the processor was complicit in it, they should go to jail and lose their license, of course. But to say like I said, a mortgage loan processor has a big job, because the originators out there selling, what they're doing is they're, to compare this to hunting, is they're slaying the beast and they hand it off to the processor to skin and cut into steaks, and they go and slay another one. The processor, if they're not in on the scam, why the hell would you take their license?
I don't know. And it's not just a felony related to that. I mean,
that's true.
It's a felony conviction. So
yeah, if you get caught with more than an ounce of weed, or your third DUI, it means you can't work as a processor.
Well, and I think it's funny that they specify that it's for residential. Like, it's okay to scam people or have felony convictions if you're
hey,
doing commercial. Yeah, I mean, okay.
487, Sheila McNeil requires that diagnostic breast examinations not be treated less favorably than screenings, mammography for breast cancer with respect to cost sharing requirements. You're going to have to help me on this one. I mean,
so there's just different types of exams, and they basically want to regulate insurance and say that they can't treat one differently than the other. Which sounds great in practice. I mean, yeah, but I would prefer the company choose to do that willingly, because there may be a different cost. So
we're talking about doing an ultrasound. Look, this is what I know about mammograms, and being the husband. Sometimes something comes up on the mammogram that's suspect. And they go and they do an ultrasound, and they'll say, oh, okay, it's fibrous tissue, or hey, we really need to biopsy this thing. It doesn't make sense to me that the state is getting involved in it. Like, if you're on an employee-provided health plan, and they say, well, we're not going to cover the ultrasound after the mammogram found something, or whatever it is. You go to your employer and say, hey, our health plan sucks. And they lose business that way. I don't know, man. I much prefer a free market than the state get involved, because all this is going to do when they start mandating stuff is cause the price of insurance to go up.
Yeah, of course.
Insurance companies are not in the business of losing money. Insurance went up when all of our exams and stuff got to be free. When they say you have to make your annual exam free. You have to make this free. You have to make this. Well, guess what? It's not free. They just increase the price somewhere else. Dipstick.
And I don't understand why 39 senators sponsored the bill. 39 out of 56.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it wasn't a big hurdle to pass when 39 out of 56 co-sponsor it. So, Jessica, as we're winding down, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I know everybody's super emotional about what you're going to talk about, so I'll let you go ahead and.
Oh, we lost Freddie Freeman, I mean, to the LA Dodgers. We didn't lose
He's
him
not dead.
permanently. He's not dead. He's not dead. Although I did appreciate the picture of him and his wife walking away because it was just a gratuitous picture of both of their butts. Mm-hmm. Freddie was here for 15 years, did a great job. This was his last bite at the apple to get his big contract. This is his third contract. He's 32 years old. He turns 33 in September, I think. And he wanted a contract for the rest of his career. And Atlanta wisely figured out that giving somebody a 6-year contract when you're 36, and in pro sports, not much good happens after 35 unless you're Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. We're not going to give that to him. But it's curious to me, other than Freddie is a California guy, so that may have played into it. He's, his family's still out there and all that stuff. Not his immediate family, but his, people who grew up with it, all that still out in California. How much of a difference is it really in his pocket between the 4-year deal that he was offered here? I think it was $132 million, whatever it is, and the $168 million over 6 years when you consider how much he's going to have to pay in California state taxes. Mm-hmm. Atlanta signed Matt
and just
Olson.
The cost of living in general, aside from taxes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Connie was talking about that last night about just going to the grocery store. I'm like, baby, I don't think he goes to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the general, buy a house. You buy a $5 million house here, and it is a mansion. You go out to LA, $5 million gets you double wide. So I don't. I think it's probably a wash for him. But after Atlanta signed Matt Olson, who is a younger version of Freddie, he's a Gold Glover, great bat. And I know this is not a sports podcast, but people are very torn up. Yeah, people are very torn up about it. My nephew, who's 8, wears number 5. He plays first base in Little League and stuff like that. Is absolutely heartbroken over it. And
that's sad.
It is, but baseball is a business. It's hard to explain to an 8-year-old that baseball is a business, and Freddie needed to go make his money, and Atlanta need to spend their money more judiciously. But
and also, I mean, it's not like Atlanta sports teams are any good. Like, this has just been a nice little run. So crying is normal if you're an Atlanta sports fan, It is, other than winning the World Series last year. Yeah. I mean, luck is luck.
Well, I mean, and repeating is very difficult. But Atlanta or LA has positioned themselves to get another one in 3 years. I mean, they got one in 2020. Atlanta won in 2021, and signing Freddie Freeman kind of sets themselves up to be a favorite to take the 2022. But again, it's not a sports podcast. I want to thank Justice Logic, my partners in endeavor, Eric Cumby, who takes the awful audio that I send him and turns it into something that you can listen to.
Magical.
I'm Dave Roberts. Have a great week.